Hey everyone, today we'll be covering Chapter 297 of My Hero Academia, and I do mean we. There are tons of chapter reviews out there on YouTube, but all of these reviews are always one person telling you what they think about the most recent chapter. On Texas Smash, the weekly chapter reviews will be a legitimate discussion, as I have a co-host joining the channel for these videos. And without further ado, please welcome Locan. Locan and I have been discussing each chapter of My Hero Academia in person for years. I figured that bringing a discussion type setting to a My Hero Academia chapter review was something you can't really find anywhere else. And since this is something we do anyway, why not include the audience in our weekly back and forth banter? The only thing scripted in this video is the intro. So sit back, enjoy a unique review/discussion style video of the latest My Hero Academia chapter. And if you enjoy the video, please help us lift the channel off the ground by leaving a like and being one of the first subscribers to Texas Smash. Hit the bell icon and turn on notifications so that you can be sure to catch us every week to talk about the latest My Hero chapter. Join the discussion and let us know what your take would be by leaving a comment down below. Before we get started, let me give a quick 2-minute overview of what the chapter covers, and also I do want to tease this at the very beginning of the video. Stick around because we do have a pretty awesome outro in store for you guys. On the first page of the chapter, we get an overview shot of Tartarus. We later see a guard calling in a code red security lockdown to the other prison guards inside Tartarus. We then see Shigaraki, or All for One, controlling Shigaraki's body, attacking the front gate. The chapter then shifts back to the guards inside Tartarus prison, talking about how Giganto is supposed to arrive tomorrow. They have a difference in opinion where one guard feels like these are just monsters and deserve to be killed, while the other guard says to basically watch what you're saying, you never know who's listening to us. The lockdown then ensues, and then we go back outside of Tartarus prison to see the attack on the front gates. We see All for One inside Shigaraki's body on a near Haya Nomu's back. It's at this point that we see Tomura start to wake up within his own body, and we have an internal discussion between All for One and Tomura. The chapter then shifts back to the events going on inside Tartarus prison, where, because the surveillance tower was taken out, the entire lockdown system goes offline. The lockdown system is supposed to come back online within 3 seconds, but it doesn't because of a peculiar blast of electricity. When the lockdown system does not come back online, the guards start to lose their composure. They tell the prisoners if they take one step outside of their cell, they will be shot, to which Muscular laughs and comes right out of his cell. Then we have Moonfish. We have a new female villain, which has piqued the curiosity of the fan base for various reasons. And then there's Overhaul, armless. The chapter concludes with All for One telling the prisoners that if they want to leave this place, then to follow him and witness from the sidelines, as this marks the beginning of a transition to a new era and the birth of a more perfect Demon Lord. The tease for Chapter 298 is an army of darkness released into the world. So with that out of the way, let's dive right into it. I know I already introduced him, but let me do it again. Everybody welcome Locan. Locan, do you want to say anything to the audience?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
All right, so we're going to dive right into this. The first thing is Tartarus Prison. We got an overview shot of Tartarus Prison. Do you have anything you want to bring up about this, or?
I mean, I think it's pretty awesome that they do show a lot of detail with the prison here, stuff we've never gotten before. Being off of the mainland.
Yeah, it gives you a little excerpt with some extra details.
There's 6 levels, and then deeper you go, the threat. So I think that'll play in that plays in later with the chapter and them breaking them out.
It did mention that you had to be deemed a threat to society to merit being held in Tartarus. So we kind of already knew that, but
I thought it was interesting, too, that with that said, it also didn't matter whether they were already guilty or not. As long as they're deemed, boom, they're thrown in there. There is no trial yet or anything, so it's kind of interesting that that's brought up. I wonder what that could really mean.
The darkest corner of Quirk society, it says. And again, we are going off the scans. Do gotta say, please support the official release. Comes out on Sunday. We just want to get this stuff out there because we're fiends. So, then we got a couple of guards that we just met. One of them already dead. The only thing really relevant here is they do call in a red alert. And the reason being is because Tomura is coming in with his hand outstretched, ready to attack.
And he looks badass.
So maybe he's already prepping the EMP blast for later in the chapter. We'll come back to that when that actually happens. Now we're talking about the guards inside of Tartarus, and they're talking about how Maki is supposed to arrive tomorrow. I'm pretty sure this guard is, oh man, I hope I get his name right. Meatball. It's not Aqua Teen, it's my hero. He's dead. We know he works in Tartarus, and he does resemble him. He does. I'm pretty sure that's his dad. And he has kind of the same, I don't want to say cynical, but cynical type of attitude, you know? You think that's his dad?
I definitely, yeah, it looks like him. His point of view of the current climate is interesting as well with the Hero Society. Just wanting to, ready to just kill the people, the villains.
Then you got the contrasting other guard saying how they're still people at the end of the day. What do you think? Who do you agree with? Which guard?
That's a hard one. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, we gotta realize that they have their human rights, as he says, not violating them. But in this society, it is crazy. Should All For One die? I mean,
that's funny, man. That's why my hero's so great. I kind of agree with man, I hope I'm saying his name right. Meatball's dad. Okay, full disclosure, I just looked it up, and yes, it is Meatball. Give me some slack. It's been a minute since we've seen this guy. So back to their discussion, though. You don't think a guy like Gigantomachia deserves to be killed on sight? I mean, this guy is just destruction incarnate. He has human rights, in your opinion?
I think he still has human rights, but if he is, like, attacking the city, I don't understand why they didn't just nuke him. But at the end of the day, once they become a prisoner, yes, they have a certain level of expectations on how they're treated.
I see your point. In a quirk society, though, I don't know if that changes things.
I feel like whenever they are attacking, like we'll see it in a little bit, but if they're attacking, then yes, you can defend yourself. If you have to use deadly means, go right ahead. But once they've been captured, the whole point of Hero Society is to not kill. But yet we do have Hawks who killed Dobby. So where do you draw the line in this society?
That's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Exactly.
Also, in very fine print, I didn't notice this on my first read-through, but the other guard that's talking about they might be listening, telling Meatball's dad to be quiet.
Right.
The they're referring to is the political party led by Trumpet. Okay. So these human rights activists are actually led by a Liberation Army member. Interestingly enough.
I've read that and I saw that. I was like, oh, okay. Whoa.
So they have influence on Tartarus, which is whole conflict of interest much. Cool. Okay. Well, let's see. These are some cool shots here. We got a muscular Moonfish, Overhaul, and New Girl. And then honestly, man, so there's no way to confirm this, but that looks like Stain to me. Right before you see All For One, you go muscular Moonfish, Overhaul, New Girl. I think that's Stain. At first I thought it was the New Girl, but this hair doesn't go down as far, you know?
Oh,
and we know that Stain is right next to All For One's cell from whenever All Might went to visit him.
That's true. I thought at first it was the New Girl and there was some connection there, but that makes a lot more sense that they're Stain. I think that it's just so that panel of Moonfish with him against the wall, biting into it or banging his head, something. But what a perfect panel of him and how crazy he really is. Like he is, he should be in a psych ward if they have that.
So Locan can back me up here. I've been a Moonfish fan for a while. If you remember, it took a berserked out Tokoyami, which if you stick around to the end of the video, you'll see in our highlight reel we've got planned for you guys. But, I mean, people forget it took a lot to bring this guy down. He didn't stick around very long. I guess that's why people forget. But, man, he was taking Bakugo and Todoroki on at the same time. He's no joke, you know.
He's got power, and he's just crazy. Out of all of them, he really
He's
has
psycho,
lost
yeah.
his mind.
So then we go back outside of the prison, and we got All For One inside Tamura's body, riding on top of a flying near high-end Nomu. And they begin to have a little discussion.
It's crazy that they're still going at it. Like, he's got control over the body, bringing him to get himself broken out, and then Tamura finally wakes up and has a deep conversation between each other on whose body it is and giving it back. I like how they did the panels too of like Shigaraki being trembling. It's almost like he definitely doesn't have full control right now. And do you think is he gonna get control, or will All For One take over?
I think he'll get his body back. I'll go that far. The last chapter said something about how Tomura should have died, really, and it was just his tenacity. You remember that? Talking about when they broke him out of the tank?
Yeah.
That for all intents and purposes, he should have died right then and there. That
Right.
just his raw hatred is what kept him alive. I think that's going to apply again. I don't know how All For One doesn't see that, or maybe he does see that, and it's already taking that into account. That's probably more likely.
Right.
But, I mean, is All For One looking out for Tamura? Is he the future king that he says right here?
Later they do, when they reference that, yeah, like, my future king, I like that question, but for me, I definitely see All For One saying that the body will be the one to be used to become the king, but Tamura definitely is not going to become king. All For One's not going to, that's not what this is about, I don't think.
I have been wondering if a villain civil war could be in the near future for the story. Tamura, Spinner, Toga, kind of his loyal friends. And you've got a bunch of basically slaves that could fight for All For One.
I think once this is over, and whoever gets Tamura's body, will it be him, will it be All For One? And it'll be definitely interesting to see what happens.
Cool. Okay, so then moving on. Safe to say the EMP blast that was shot at the surveillance tower was All For One. Just going to say All For One from here on out. But he's inside of Tamura. Which then leads to a 3-second lockdown, which is not 3 seconds because of what looks like a big blast of electricity coming out of a cell.
From the new villain girl, we suspect. And she also looks like and has a similar power of
Kaminari.
We even looked up Kaminari and like just seeing a panel of them next to each other, and they do look really similar.
Yeah.
Which plays into our other theory of like who's the traitor. We've always been wondering that. Who's the traitor? Who's the traitor? Did a video on that, and that was really good, but you've always suspected Kaminari could be the traitor as well. So this definitely could be a clue to that.
So I'm sticking with Nezu. I just made a video on that. I'm not backing down from it. But I did suspect Kaminari before. I let him off the hook for 2 reasons. There's tons of stuff online if you want to look up why people suspect Kaminari was the traitor long before this chapter. But 2 major things. One, for the first time, he fought a villain. He didn't take the easy way out and overzap himself and act like he couldn't fight. And then number 2, Compress hit him hard. Compress was trying to kill him. So that's why I suspected him for the longest time, but not since the war arc. Those 2 things, I moved on from Kaminari and then made a whole video about Nezu.
But if that is his mom, I wonder what that means. Like, how does that... Is Kaminari, is he bitter about it? Why is she even in prison? I really hope we get a backstory of her, which I'm sure we will.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to see who she is and her connection to All for One even. And
it could be a sibling or, just a relative of Kaminari. It doesn't have to be
the mom.
Right. But do keep in mind, she was on B10 of Tartarus, so...
Which is the lowest level in the prison, so she's got some power.
She was deemed a threat to society.
One of the highest levels.
Yeah, we'll be finding out more about her, we know. But we want to know now. So aside from the new girl, we have Muscular out of his cage, laughing at the bullets that are being shot at him. Moonfish. And then it really looks like Overhaul's hitting... I don't think the new girl knows Overhaul per se. It almost looks like he's hitting the wall to make a noise and catch her attention, and she just opens it by happenstance. I don't think there's any relation between her and Overhaul, do you?
No, not Overhaul specifically, but I wonder why he's saying father. And does she already know the plan? Like, why is she going to let him out?
Allies and villainy? I don't know.
Mm.
Father is in reference to, remember, he cares about the Yakuza.
Right.
His father figure, not biological father.
Yeah. And that's who he thinks is breaking him out?
I just think that's what's on his mind. He probably regrets his actions. He probably feels guilty because he eventually realized while he sat in Tartarus and had a bunch of time to think that he wasn't really helping his father's, the Yakuza out.
Right.
He was hurting the organization. And he wants forgiveness. I think that's all that's about.
Okay, that makes sense.
And just about it. I mean, All for One says, "Get beside me." Typical. Very last panel.
I really like this panel, the last one.
So he's in his own body again.
With this panel, is he in person right now?
I believe so, because look at the direction of the speech bubbles. They're coming from All for One talking now.
Mm-hmm.
I think that confirms, into this chapter, All for One's back in his own body, and Tamura's just...
And he's out. All for One is out.
With the floating ventilator.
I mean, you can see, he's either on the roof or something. He's already outside. He's come from the lowest level of the prison all the way outside.
It looks like it could be on an interior wall, possibly. But yeah, he's escaped, for sure.
Looks like the ocean and stuff behind him.
I was saying, these look like people down below, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking it could be the outer wall.
Oh, okay, of the prison. Yeah. But this plays back into, alright, when they were talking back and forth, give me my body back, what's going to happen from here? For me, I think Tamura, his body is going to be used somehow to let All for One get back to his original self. Because he said that it would be my king, but then right here, and the birth of a more perfect demon lord. This is the story of how I will become the greatest demon lord. Of course, this is just the scan.
The scan, right.
But if he's talking about himself in that manner, then yeah, his goal and aim is to become the demon lord, and for himself to do that, not Tamura get to be the demon lord.
That's what All for One wants. 100% agree. Will it pan out like that is the question. All for One, he'll step on a million corpses if he has to.
Right.
That's what I was saying about a villain civil war. I think that's possible. Mm-hmm. That could be what the heroes need right now. The villains hurting themselves. Last thing on the chapter before we just go into complete speculation mode, it does end with an army of darkness released onto the world. So there was a news about Horikoshi tearing up writing this chapter. I mean, nobody really died or nothing too sad happened, but based off of that tagline, Army of Darkness released into the world, could this lead to, people are saying All Might, people are saying Inko, maybe somebody else. Horikoshi did say that. I wonder why he would say that. I'm sure the chain of events that this starts leads to something horrible. What's your best guess?
Someone definitely dies. I think someone's gonna die, and it's gonna be someone he really cares about and has built up the character behind. I have a huge long theory about who it could be that's gonna die, because you brought up the other day, we don't know where Toga is either.
Right, but Toga was already out, so my theory that I was talking about the other day was that we don't know where Toga is. Toga knows that Hawks killed twice, and Toga can basically copy anybody's appearance, and the heroes are down right now. I mean, Hawks is in a hospital room. So if she wanted to go avenge Twice's death, it would be as easy as it ever would be to do it right now. But then again, the prison break wouldn't have to happen for Toga to get her revenge. So I'll say that Toga killing Hawks is definitely a possibility, but kind of a guess at this point. Whatever it is that made Horikoshi tear up, I don't think it's Hawks' death.
Do you think him...
Chapter 300's right around the corner.
Yeah, but with him tearing up, was it in reference to this chapter, or was it him writing the story as far as he's gotten? I don't think there's nothing in here that would make Horikoshi tear up.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing I can think of is it might just start the chain of events.
This is what opens the doorway, and we'll get it either the next chapter or the following one.
Or the one after that, which would be 300.
300 would definitely be the chapter to do it on.
Alright, so last question for this chapter, and then we'll close out this video. True or false? Does Tamura reach 100%? In some form or fashion? Because he's at 75 or so right now, right?
Right, and he's healing, but I absolutely think Tamura will get 100%. He'll heal. At which point, my question is, do you think Tamura will keep his body, or will All For One be the one to take over?
I think All For One's good with his body. I think Tamura will keep his body. But if Tamura's going to hit 100%, it's more than just healing. It's a procedure, right? I mean, he was in a tank going through a process.
For him to gain control over the abilities for the quirk.
So what's helping continue that lacking 25%? All For One, maybe? He said earlier in the chapter, he says, your regeneration has slowed, you must conserve energy to heal. Shigaraki says, you're telling me to rest? Then what am I doing here? And then All For One responds, I mean that you should rest after the deed here is done. So is All For One going to leave Tamura in Tartarus?
I think right now, with that conversation and even below, All For One has kind of split himself into two, and Tamura's a puppet. Whenever Tamura's asleep, All For One's the one controlling him and able to use him. So he just wants him to go back to sleep so All For One can take over the body again and be in the driver's seat. And I think it's just with time that the quirk will, or his ability to, use the quirk and finish the process from 75 to 100%, it's just going to take time. And it's his body just naturally adapting to this new ability.
So you think it could happen naturally? I'm kind of thinking he might hit 100%, but there has to be something, I feel like All For One taking him to a hideout somewhere. Okay. I mean, I don't see how he can just... Maybe at this point, because he's 75%, he's got some abilities now that he didn't have previously that allow for the process to continue without equipment. We're kind of reaching. But
that would be interesting, though, if they do have to take him off to some other hideout to continue the process and finish it up.
Which, not to debunk myself, but All For One said, you should rest at least until the deed is done here. Well, the deed's done there, right? So, does Tamura not have to rest anymore?
What is this face-off? The next chapter, I cannot wait just to hear the conversation and see what's going to happen. All For One doesn't look hurt either. He just has his breathing apparatus, and he's going he's holding it. He's using his powers. Doesn't look weak. Looks like he's well rested and healed up too.
Looks like everything went exactly how he wanted it to go.
His plan was perfect.
And is he missing his big toe?
If you zoom in on the panel, you do see his toe missing. Or is it just not drawn in?
Or is it curled under his other toes?
It does, to me, it is missing, but what does that even mean? All for One doesn't have a big toe.
What a loser. All right. So like I said at the beginning of the video, we do have an awesome outro. So we got Moonfish, and we got Muscular, and we got Stain, all back into regular society. So in case you forgot what these guys can do, here's a little reminder. We'll see you guys next week.